I was at the end of my rope. Honestly, I was thinking give up on Uganda, go abroad, start from scratch, probably clean toilets, probably drive a bakery truck, you know, but go abroad and start over. I mean, let me be
So you had
honest.
given up.
It was almost that bad. The good thing is I had God. I always knelt down, prayed, and I realized there was still hope for something to happen here. And when I met Matthew, he was so humble. I think in 1990, I got a lead role, Tatiana in Paris. Then 1992, Spanish Romance. Then 1993, which was my last production in that school, African Princess.
Okay. And you remember all of them.
I remember all of them.
Kudos to you.
Yes.
But then also I remember you just have a good memory with details. Sometimes you scare me a little bit. The details, you remember everything.
You mean so much to this child and their family. So that's when I realized never disrespect anyone.
Yeah.
You could be here tomorrow, you could die tomorrow, but the fact that you're still alive and you meet people who are happy about what you do, humble yourself.
Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us for Crystal One on One. Now we are on location in the center of Kampala City at Sheraton Kampala Hotel. If you're looking for a luxurious staycation, come here. If you want to spend time in this iconic pool, yes, we are poolside today, either on your own or with your kids, hey, come here. If you're looking for the most authentic seafood and sushi night, that's every last Thursday of the month, right here. You can also enjoy the steak and sizzler night every Wednesday. I mean, there are just so many things at the Sheraton. So make sure you come through. Today, I have someone you know very well from many of the series and movies we have coming out of Uganda. Now, he's a former music programmer, but currently he is an actor, and I can't wait to hear about the transition and all the projects he is part of right now. I have Timothy Lwanga joining me. Hi, Timothy.
Hi, Crystal.
This is weird, shaking. I'm used to hugging. I'm used to hugging. How are you?
Well, we can do that.
Yes, now I know. Yes. My person.
Oh,
Someone I've known for so many years.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure.
Well,
Now, people who know you, people call you Timothy. Then there are
Yes.
people call you Tim Tim.
Yes.
Then there are people call you
Timo
Tim,
B.
Timo B, Timo. I
Yeah.
mean, all these versions. How have you been?
well, alive.
Alive.
And thanks be to God, I now know the value of life.
Okay.
Sometimes we take life for granted, but I've seen so many of my closest friends just die.
Yes.
Cancer, car accidents, and whatnot. And I've now realized that, just being alive, you don't even know if you have next week. Just be thankful for
Don't even
today.
know if you have tomorrow.
Yes, you don't even know if you have tomorrow. So I'm just thankful to be alive.
That's nice. Living with gratitude.
Yes.
It's important.
Very.
I feel like at the end of every day, and I said this before, at the end of every day, you should take a moment to just think about
Just
the things that you're grateful for. Good health is one of them, right?
very much. Very, very much.
Okay.
It's good to see you in good health.
Yes, I am.
You don't grow old. I don't know how you keep looking perfect.
Okay. How much can I pay you? But thank you. Thank you
Welcome.
very much.
You're welcome.
Now, your story goes all the way back, I imagine, to like high school
Yes.
in terms of drama,
Yes.
right? And that was what? Namasagali College?
Namasagali College.
What about your primary school, though?
Primary school. Now, I was in Chitante Primary School. Late 70s. That's when I was P1, I think. Then the early 80s, I was P2, troubled times in Uganda. So
Do you have clear memories of that?
Yes. I'm the last born of 3 girls in my family. That's why I don't have a brother
Yes.
or My dad was my mentor and my mom was my pillar. My sisters, they were the ones who structured me. So whenever people say, you guys, do you have OCD? You're always neatening things. What? Why do you have to wear coordinated colors? My
That's where it comes.
sisters,
Your sisters.
yes.
Because the other day you were. Sorry. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
The other
Yes.
day, I was like, I need the hookup. You had this. He had this white and blue jacket that had these pants matching, and then his sneakers always on point. I think we'll need to get. I mean, it's like you still managed to find these things.
Well,
But you've always taken so much pride in your appearance, in your surroundings. So
yeah,
yeah.
being raised surrounded by women, they kind of always tell your hair is off. Why are you going in public dressed like that? So eventually,
You're
there
telling
I
me
was.
you had like
Yes.
4 mothers.
Yes.
Essentially, mother hens.
Mother hens.
Mother
So,
hens around you.
primary school, Chitante Primary School, I was there from P1 to P4. Then because of the insecurity in Kampala, my parents started fearing because many of my uncles and relatives were being attacked at home and gunned down in front of their families.
Okay.
So my dad got concerned and decided to put me in boarding school when I'm still in primary. So he took me to boarding school in P4 and they took me to Budo Junior.
Budo Junior.
Budo Junior. Some call it Kabinja.
How was that experience?
Yes. Well, it was tough for me. It was tough for me. I was like thrown in at the deep end when you can't, like you don't know how to look after yourself that much. And being a last born, yeah, I was kind of spoiled. But it kind of started structuring me to learn how to survive and take care of myself.
Yes.
So as in Budo from P4 again, they made me repeat P4, P5. Then at the beginning of P6, I got typhoid. Because these boarding schools back then, they were good academically and all that. But when a certain illness could hit a school, you could see so many kids in the sick bay.
Yeah.
I got typhoid in early P6. And I was I could say almost in a coma, I think, because they didn't know what I was suffering from. They thought it was malaria, but I was vomiting all the time. Nothing could stay in. So I was just in the sick bay, rotting away. Then an auntie of mine passed by the school sick bay because she's a friend to the nurse.
Yes.
She saw me and she knew me. I said, I know this boy. Why is he so sick? So she asked the headmaster to allow her, and they brought me back to Kampala. And they took me to Mengo Hospital and I was treated for typhoid.
For typhoid.
I
So they were treating
recovered.
you for malaria.
Yes, they didn't know what.
Because back then everyone thought immediately malaria.
Malaria. So I got better, but I lost a couple of months. So my parents then decided we will brave the insecurity in the city,
Keep you at home.
bring you back into day school. So they took me to Kampala Parents.
Okay. Yes.
In Kampala Parents, it was like someone who's an astronaut and is now back on Earth. And so you're talking to people about things they've never experienced. Most of these kids have never been away from their parents. So I came up like that, being the talkative kid, blah, 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 think you know it all type. But Kampala Parents now got me to become structured, knowing how to write with a fountain pen, sit up straight,
Yeah.
keep your clothes clean. It was a strict school. Still is.
Yeah.
And that's where I
Okay.
was up to the end of P7. Then I went to Namasagali College, S1 to S6.
Why Namasagali? Did you have older siblings? Your
Yes.
sisters had gone there?
My two older sisters were in Namasagali before me, but they did the A-level part. The late headmaster, the proprietor of that place, may his soul continue resting in peace, Father Grimes,
Father Grimes.
had seen my sisters and liked how good they were in talent and everything.
Yes.
So he kind of knew that if they have siblings, those siblings should also come to his school. So he kind of asked my father, and my dad was like, well, fine. He can handle boarding. He's been there.
Yeah, true, because you had already been there and you'd been
So
far away from home.
That's where I was from S1 to S6.
Okay.
The difference is
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, I became a man there. The school taught me so much about even what I do today.
It's so interesting that unfortunately Namasagali now has faded.
Yeah.
But so many of the people there, your time, came out to be entertainers, to
Yes.
really excel in entertainment.
Yes.
And that was because of something in that school. Number one, there was a way confidence was inculcated. Because I feel like the girls who came from Namasagali, their level of self-confidence and self-esteem was very different from girls from other schools.
Yes.
Even though I wasn't there, I was in my college, but my older sisters were in
Yes,
Namasagali.
yes.
But there was also, it tapped into that talent that every person had, whether it was in sports, because I
Yes.
also know they were passionate about sports, or music, dance, drama.
Yes.
So for you, it was music, dance, drama?
Yes, I actually picked up interest in music, dance and drama. And that's how the headmaster, Father Grimes, noticed we had these things called miming competitions, which most people who watch TV on certain channels I can't mention here, but they have this lip sync kind of performance. Like they play a song and you pretend to be the one singing it, and how well, yes, how well you sell yourself as the one who sang the song. And that's how they found actors, because they say if he can pretend to be the artist who sang that song and is convincing, he must be a good actor.
Oh,
So he noticed that from people who are good in that competition, and I was among the guys who were good at that. And we loved dancing, a group of us. Some are no longer with us, but we were so in love with music. So we used to dance, choreograph some steps, and we go on stage and sing. From there, he started picking us and putting us in the school productions, which used to come to the National Theatre. So he started structuring us as actors, give us a huge script, you master the lines, and then he starts grooming you in emotions. That this is a sad scene, this is a what? And of course, we swung. And eventually, 6 years down the road, I was in all the productions. S1. Every year there's a production that was brought from the school.
I think it was after the second term, was it, in that holiday?
Yes. So I was in the first one at Mama Capi's bar in 87. Then I was in the second one, Gunsheimer's Follies in 88. Then in 89, I was in Great Caesar. And I remember I met some guy who is a very talented actor today. And he's greater than me, I think, in acting here in Uganda. But he was a fan of mine, and he said he first saw me when I was in Great Caesar acting as a palace guard, because they made us stand on stage. You're like guards in Caesar's palace. A guard stands there, you know, like the guards you see at Buckingham Palace.
Yes.
And even if a fly lands on his face, you don't blink, you don't cough, you don't scratch. And I had to learn how to master that.
How to be still.
So he used to look at me throughout the show and say, this guy hasn't even breathed in or breathed out. And he was amused, and it brought him into acting. And imagine, he entered the acting professionally before I did. But he had seen me before.
And you've joined all these years later.
So in 1990, I got a lead role, Tatiana in Paris. Then 1992, Spanish Romance. Then 1993, which was my last production in that school, African Princess.
Okay. And you remember all of them.
I remember all of them.
Kudos to you. Yes. But then also I remember you just have a good memory with details. Sometimes you scare me a little bit. The details, you remember everything. I know I'm not the only one who's told you this, right?
You have to remember the important things in your life, because you're the only one who can tell your own story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you leave Namasagali and then you go on to Makerere University.
Makerere University. Makerere University, of course, now you're in the real world.
Yes.
Many of my former Namasagali student classmates who really wanted to continue with what we were doing in Namasagali, most of them left the country. They're in America, UK, Europe.
You think it's because maybe there weren't that many opportunities?
Yeah, they didn't see their lives going to be aligned with Uganda per se. So they found comfort going abroad. So they did their universities abroad and they started working there. I don't know if they broke into film or something, but that was their choice. I stayed, but I had to put my head now to earth and realize, what can I do? My parents were very, very supportive. They said, you have to study a course in university that gives you a skill.
Okay.
So I went to Makerere and I was doing Bachelor of Arts with Education.
Okay.
So I was being trained to be a teacher.
Yes. Why is that funny?
Well, it's strange because they're like, from entertainment now teaching. I said, well, I had to learn.
Yes.
And so I studied education. I graduated, got a lower second. But I realized teaching was not my thing.
Okay. After
But
you had done the whole degree.
after doing the whole thing, even getting the degree, I realized I can't stand in front of a classroom with a piece of chalk every day and have those dreams just passing me by. So I started looking at who am I and what did I learn from Namasagali? Because Namasagali taught us you are not just an academic excellent person.
Yes,
You
yes.
have talent, and
Yeah.
that talent can actually be used. So I moved into radio. Why? I was a huge fan of music. So every time while I was in university, whenever I had spare change, because I used not to drink or smoke.
Yeah.
So I kind of saved my pocket money. And I used to come to town and I used to see these music libraries and shops, and I used to buy
Yes.
a CD of a popular artist, Shy, whatnot, New Edition. So I had a collection of CDs.
Yeah.
Now everyone on campus used to say, you guys, you have so much music. Why don't you make this music make money for you?
Oh. Okay.
So while we were on campus, around 93, FM's radio industry started.
Yes.
It got introduced.
Yes.
And there were just 2 radio stations at the time, and that was Sanyo FM and Capital
And
Radio.
Capital.
So I had friends who were even students in the university, but were already getting jobs in that radio station because they knew how to articulate and speak on the microphone, blah, blah, blah. Now me, I'm used to performing when I can see my audience.
Yes.
So I couldn't see myself as a presenter, but I knew I wanted to be a part of an entertainment job.
Okay.
So I kept asking them, how do I get in? Then they used to give me chances to go and voice a commercial. Like, you have a good voice. I think they can use you in voicing. I used to do that.
Yes.
So I started getting friends in radio, but I still didn't have a way in. But when I graduated university, because I had so much music, I realized that there's a lot of music that some of these radio stations don't have. So when I used to meet friends of mine who work in the radio station, they said, man, there are some things we lack in the library. Why don't you bring your CDs? We negotiate, we get the songs off the music, and we talk. So that's when I actually started going into the other side of radio, the programming.
Programming side.
And that's when I learned that there's a lot more to radio than just hearing that voice. There's a person who prepares that song. There's a person who makes sure the presenter doesn't have anything that messes them up. You have to make sure the presenter just comes in, does their show, and all the music is fine and everything. Make sure they walk out saying, wow, great music. So that's where I found my calling.
Yeah.
And luckily, Sanyu,
Yeah.
Radio Sanyu gave me a chance.
Yes.
And I became a music programmer there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were there for 14 years.
I was there for 14 years.
It's a big chunk of your
Yes.
life. Huh?
Meet the lady who did the breakfast show, the drive show. I mean, she is a rock star.
I'm saying for a big chunk, I did 18 years.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's such a big part of our identity as well. And then family, the people you work with become family and all of that. So I remember you used to do a lot of voiceover work. But for some
Yes.
reason, the presenter one, you're like, mm-mm. So
No.
it was really because there's
Yes.
a bit of madness you have to be in a room all by yourself talking
Talking
to
to
a
yourself.
mic.
And then
It's
just
okay,
getting the...
admit.
Yes. So,
So that was not your thing.
no. I did sit in for your show once. There's when you were on leave. And they threw me in again at the deep end and said, Tim, you're going to sit in and do Crystal's show. Oh,
Never again, never again.
Oh gosh, it comes after a countdown, which is like a very up-tempo
Yes,
hype
very.
show. So I came in and doing selections, like you listen to the listener's selection and you play the song. So that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
My God, did I fumble? Like I was looking for the music instead of telling the people who have asked for that music. Oh, that's so and so. This is your song. Blah blah blah. This is your greeting to your
Yeah,
to
it
your
was a
friend.
request
You know,
show.
it's a request show. So I was busy fumbling, finding the music because that's where I'm comfortable. To make sure I have all the music.
To make sure it's
Yes.
flowing smooth.
And there were guys in the studio telling me, talk now, talk now. It's like, talk. They would even stop the song and switch on the mic, and I would be like,
my
yeah. Now that was Kelly, and it was tough.
Yeah.
I respect you guys.
Okay. Well, hey, it wasn't easy also being able to schedule for all the shows across the board and making sure that, all the different categories, because a lot of people don't realize that even the music is designated to different categories
Yeah.
and subsets.
Yes.
So that's how you have a very,
Diverse.
it's like diverse but also structured sound to a
Yes.
station. Otherwise, if you're playing everything and anything,
Oh,
can you imagine? That's why someone would be like, oh, this station is this, and that station is this station is that. So there's a whole lot that
Yeah.
a programmer does. So leaving Sanyu
Yes.
after 14 years,
Yes.
What would you say happened?
whoa, that was a tough time. First, in 2012, my dad passed away, cancer. I saw him fight it. They thought he had 8 months to live. He actually lived 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I thought he had beaten it. But it made him weaker and weaker. Prostate cancer is no joke. I put my prayers for Joe Biden because I know he's struggling with it now.
Yeah.
But prostate cancer kills a lot of my fellow men.
Yeah.
They need to just brave going to the doctor and getting
And
tested.
getting tested.
My dad died, so it was tough. But he was happy to see me doing something I was passionate about. Just like how he had told me, get a skill, make sure that you can't fail to find work.
Using that skill.
Yes. So that's why I did education, so that
Yeah.
if everything fails, I'll teach. But if not, you find a skill.
Yeah.
So radio was it for me, and he saw me grow in it, and he saw me so passionate about it, coming home late at night, but so happy to do it and go back to the station in the morning. So he was happy for me. But I know my dad is a huge fan of TV. Was, sorry, a huge fan of TV.
That's where you got some of the love for TV.
Yes, because I noticed his happiest days were whenever he saw me on stage acting.
Oh.
Those were his happiest. But he never wanted to rain on my parade and say, son, why don't you try acting? But every Sunday, me and him, and sometimes some of my sisters, we used to go out, go to the theater, watch a play, or watch whatever show or production is at the theater, whether it's National Theater or La Bonita, and then afterwards we go to a restaurant, have dinner, and then go home. And that was our Sunday plan.
So you used to go watch plays and
After
production.
church, yes, we go to the cinema, to the theater.
To
But
the theater.
I noticed how at home he was when he's watching people acting and how he loved it. So it was something in the back of my mind, but it had not yet come to the front because I was so into music and I was now working in radio.
So you felt like this was something that was, yeah.
When he passed away, it was tough. Few months after that, I left radio. And for matters beyond my control, I tried to get into other radio stations. But like my role as a music programmer was so hard to find vacant.
Yes.
All the other radio stations have programmers who've been there for donkey years. They're even graying. So it's like, you want us to fire that guy so that we hire you? And say, no, I mean, I'm just looking for work. When I noticed that none of them were actually looking for a music programmer, then I started reaching out to people who are planning to do new radio stations. But some of their plans were on hold, we don't have the money yet. Yeah, we will use you, but we don't know.
Not
So
yet.
it was tough.
Was
So
vague. Huh?
I went through a couple of years not knowing what's going to happen. Now, of course,
Because I remember a conversation we had where you actually said that technology, you're one of the first people where you feel like technology also came in and took a job away from you.
Yes.
Because the whole world now is talking about AI.
Yes.
I mean, I watched a reel today, and it's, is it a pulmonary surgeon? Well, he reads x-rays.
Yes.
So he was saying that over 20 years, he's built a skill where he can look at the x-ray of someone's lungs and he's able to say, oh, this one has pneumonia, this one he's able to see. And he said now AI in seconds is able to predict it. So he was jokingly saying he's going to apply for a job at
Yes,
McDonald's because
yes.
soon his job will be no more. And then I thought about you, like way back, you said technology came and
Yes. While I was in radio, just a few years before I left, management was a bit uncomfortable letting me decide the music and how to structure it. So there was software I was supposed to use. I used it to help me distribute the songs.
Yes.
Then I go through the system to see what the machine has distributed and then relocate the songs
Yes, a few
into
here.
areas where they are most suitable. Like if it's a very slow song and the machines put it in an area which is up tempo, I move that song to a place which is slower music,
Yeah.
and I find songs which are faster there. But they wanted me to do less of the editing.
So to
every
just
year,
let
yes,
the software run.
every year they kept on telling me, Tim, stop messing with the system. We know how passionate you are about programming the music.
But I get where you're coming from, because sometimes the system would put the
Yes.
most random song
Yes.
and you could not even understand how it
A
ended up
very
there.
up-tempo song after a Celine Dion song, and you're like, come on. But they
Yeah.
told me, Tim, leave the system alone. That's the future.
Yeah.
So I knew my time in radio was coming to an end. I realized they needed less of me. They just needed me to know, is that a good song? Then there's a committee. There was even a music committee that sits and listens to what you said you like, and they decide what's good and what's bad. And so eventually, I started realizing, you know what? You don't seem to have a job here.
Yeah.
Because now the softwares in most radio, they just press a button and it scatters all the music, and the presenters just come do their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So AI right now is taking over everything, even driving. You enter a
I
car.
don't know about that. I don't know if I'm brave enough, because I've been driving since I was
Yes.
19, 20.
You've
I'm
always
going to
been
just sit
driving
behind.
through traffic to get to work, but now imagine a car will be asking you where you're going. You put in your GPS and you just sit and read the paper, or you look at your emails and the car drives you to work. And then
That is the future.
that's the future. And even everything going on in the developed world, factories are now more machines. Our phones, do you know our phones also have attitude? If you're not paying attention to its AI, it can start blocking some of your programs. Like every time you want to shut down your phone for something, it blocks you and asks the AI to take over until it switches back to manual use, and then that's when you use it. But it keeps on reminding you AI is available, AI is available.
Yes, I see that.
So you have to renew your apps, you have to upgrade your software, otherwise your apps will just refuse to work one day and you'll be like, what's going on?
Yes.
So basically, it was a tough time. First of all, the new stations that came up were doing more AI, so they didn't really know where to put me. And I was getting old. And that's when I bumped into a gentleman whom up to this day I respect with all my heart and soul, who also went to the same school I went to, Matthew Nawiso. He's a great actor. He's a great movie maker. He should be interviewed here. Anyway.
I've interviewed him.
Wow,
I
that
have.
guy is like
Yeah.
he changed my life. We met, and he knew me because he was in a lower class to me.
In
in
Namasagali.
Namasagali.
Yes.
But he didn't know if I was passionate about acting. He was looking for actors who are a little mature, because it looks like he had an abundance of young actors, but he was looking for people who can act elderly roles.
Yes,
Father, boss, stuff like that, And he asked me, if you're serious, we'll talk.
At that point, had you started considering getting back to?
At that moment, I was in between jobs. I needed to do something.
Because I know those 6 years. 6 years is
6 years is a long time. So when I met him, he actually opened a door. Like they say, the Lord closes the door, somewhere he opens a window. That was the window. So I went and met him. We sat and had a heart-to-heart talk, sort of like what I'm doing here. We talked. I told him the whole history, and because there are some things he didn't see, because he went to Namasagali when I think I was leaving or had left just shortly. So basically, he was just a fan from the outside, but then he ended up in the same school, and then he also got indoctrinated into the same thing. He also said he loved that school so much. He once had an injury before leaving home. He broke his leg, and it was in a cast. And so he was not going back to Namasagali until his leg was healed. But he came to the National Theatre to bid his friends farewell, and he ended up on the bus without his luggage. Went to the school. That's how much we loved that school.
Yeah.
He had to come back
those days.
later and just say, I'm good, I can handle with my cast. So that's how the school also affected him, and he ended up taking it seriously. He took it as a job, as a calling.
Yes.
So for him, he started a film company. He acted in so many things. So he basically talked to me about it and opened my eyes. And that's when I realized, wow, I can do this. So he started by putting me in tiny roles for web series. See how I do as horrible. Acting on stage
Okay.
is very different from acting in front of a camera.
Yes.
Like, you have to, when you're acting on stage, you know where the audience is, and you can choose to look at them or look above them. I always used to act to people's hair, so that when I look at them, I'm not looking at their faces, because they might distract me, but I look at their hair. So they don't know that I'm not looking at their faces. Now, with film,
Yes.
Matthew told me, you don't even have to look at don't look at the camera.
The camera does not exist.
The camera doesn't exist. You just know where it is, acknowledge its location, and make sure you give it audience.
Make sure that
Yes.
your movements and
Make
everything.
sure you're
in frame.
You're in frame. And whatever you do, don't get out of frame,
Yes.
because the camera people have set it. I was horrible at that camera thing. Every time I was so horrible. Like they could say, guys, stop looking at the camera. Stop looking. Hold. Guys, stop looking at the camera. Focus on your scene. Look at your fellow actors. It took me a while, but I got the hang of it, like a kid learning how to swim. Until eventually, I learned to not even know where the cameras are. Just walk in, do your scene, walk out, and then eventually I said, that was good. And I would feel like, yes. And yet people used to wonder, you used to act. Why are you so excited? I said, man, I felt this thing was making me look so bogus.
And it's so different. And also, I guess, after all that time, you were essentially relearning.
Yes.
Relearning everything.
Relearning everything.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's where I've been acting since. I've been acting now for almost 7-8 years. Yeah.
Would you say one of your major roles, at least where consistently over time, was Sanyu, the series?
Yes. DSTV got into a new idea of promoting local talent. So they created a project whereby they can fund filmmakers, local filmmakers, to produce high quality, high end, well funded TV series with cars, mansions, clothes, and everything. Like those TV series we grew up watching, like Dallas and what. We were trying to be like that. So I was like, wow. I felt so honored to be chosen to be in the cast.
Yes.
And we were on the Sanyu set for 4 years. We started in lockdown. Can you imagine? Where people can't move, there are no cars, there are no taxis. We had to get to set. So we
Okay.
either walked there or someone would pick you who has the permission to
Yes,
drive.
yes, yes. Oh my
And then
God.
most people used to sleep on set, because if you are filming in a mansion, well, after they wrap for the day, guys
And
just
there's no
sleep
way
in.
to get home
Yes,
anyway.
you sleep in the rooms you are acting in. So basically, I always used to get home. I love the adventure of walking, helped me work out.
Yeah.
So basically, I did Sanyu for that long. Then Sanyu came to an end, and now my career goes on in other projects like films,
I've seen you in quite a few
some
films now.
upcoming web series and whatnot. Now, those are projects that people are still trying to find funding for,
Yeah.
but because we have a passion to act, we always tell those filmmakers, count me in, I'll act. Count me in.
That is one of the most beautiful things I've seen about the film industry here. Because, like you said, when DSTV came in, thankfully, there were budgets.
Yes.
But many of the passionate filmmakers we have today,
Yes.
especially the ones who started,
Yes.
there's no money.
There's no money.
There's no money. We were just talking about, like, you know, if the weather changes,
Yes.
you can lose an entire day
An entire
that you're supposed to shoot. Many things can happen, and you lose a lot of money in the process.
Yes.
So I've always found it so amazing that in our film industry in Uganda, many actors and actresses are always willing. They're like, it's okay. You don't have that. How much do you have? It's all right. I want to be part of it because it's bigger.
Yeah.
It's bigger than just, you know,
It,
yourself.
it is an infancy stage here in Uganda, although there are so many award ceremonies.
Yeah, I think like it's grown. The
It's
last 10
growing.
years.
I still see our industry as growing,
Yes, of course.
because when I look at where Nigeria is, South Africa, Ghana, they have funding systems which keep films making money.
But not even that.
Yes, they make sure that the locals
Thank you.
will watch and will pay
Will support.
and support.
That is what we're getting better
at,
because I
but-
love that we're having more and more premieres for movies,
Yes.
even in our cinemas.
Yes.
But we need to do more.
Yes.
We need to do more to support our own local
Yes.
content.
Because at the end of the day, if we ever hope to be at the same level as Denzel Washington or Lupita Nyong'o, Lupita has come and acted here. And I hear she's also coming back soon. NDAs. Anyway, but basically, when she comes and sees how people here are so slow, but have so much talent, she can easily see that, oh God, so if this project didn't come along, you are just going to struggle for money.
Yeah.
You know, those things. You can't see a very talented actor, and what you don't know is that they are doing small projects to survive, but they probably wouldn't have any money. But they're doing it out of passion. Now, I don't mind doing this because I know it changed my life. And I know good things come to those who are prepared. If you give up on it, I keep telling my fellow cast who are in Sanyu, if you give up on your talent,
Yeah.
your talent will die. It's like not driving. You may get back behind the wheel and you are fumbling in front of the roads. You know, you may mess up. You have to keep yourself busy in acting. Do something. Don't turn away from casting calls. There are people who still do casting calls, but their projects may have very little money because they have funding problems. But if they've given you a role, I know it's hard to say yes to little money.
Yes.
But if it's going to keep you in front of the camera, take it. And it keeps you busy.
Because when you look back at old movies now, don't you see some of the biggest stars we have?
Yes.
And they were in random series.
Random series.
Do you know what's a good example? You know House, the
Yes.
guy who plays House, Dr.
Yes,
House.
Dr.
right?
House, yes.
Do you remember 101 Dalmatians? it was a movie,
Oh,
and he was one of the
yes,
stupid
yes,
assistants.
yes.
Like, you know,
You
have
always see those great
yes,
actors in
he was
old
like an
movies as
idiot, like all hanging around.
yes,
And I'm like, oh, that
yes,
house. Oh my
yes.
God. They
Because
also put in years and years to get to where they
imagine
are.
an actress like Drew Barrymore acted like one of the young kids in the great movie E.T.
Yes, she was
And
like
people, yes,
4 years
she was 4
old.
years old. Now you see, you have to keep yourself in the system. And I have a friend of mine, we were in Namasagali together. He went to the US, studied film, and worked in Warner Bros. Can you imagine? But he was not working as an actor there. He was working in production, behind the scenes, you know, logistics, things like that.
Ah.
When his dad passed away, he came back to Uganda because he was his dad's heir and he had to take over his dad's businesses here. So he gave up his career there, came back here. But when I bumped into him at the village mall in Bugolobi, I was so shocked to see him. I said, man, tell me more, tell me more. You're a guy who's been there, tell me. He told me one thing you need to know. The film industry is very small. That you look at Hollywood, very, very small. All those actors you see, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, they are very few. To break into that crowd
Yeah.
takes a very long time because you have to prove yourself.
To
You
become
can
an
come from here
A-lister.
when you're a good actor. You get there, you struggle even to get a role as an extra in a
Yes.
big. That's why even when they come and shoot films here, they pick Ugandans just to act as extras, even if they're our great actors doing that. But you see, Hollywood is very small. Those same faces you see in those popular projects are the same people you're going to see acting in other movies and other blockbusters. When you keep looking at every movie that is coming out, I remember when we used to go to the cinema, every new movie we ask, who is in it? Imagine.
Yes. They're
Which
like,
means even
I
the
don't know
audience,
any of these faces.
yes, the audience even actually expects a certain known character
Well, that's the
to
beauty
drive them.
with series now. I
Yes.
think television and the rise of series has changed that dynamic. Because before you needed a main,
Yes.
character, a big actor to carry the movie.
So eventually, I noticed the same thing here, that the industry is small. It looks like it's big, but it is small. So you find that we are the same people doing lead roles in different projects all over the place. And that's when I understood what my friend told me about Hollywood,
Yeah.
that it is small. He meets these same people and they have a long list of projects they've been in across 3 years.
True.
And you're like, yeah, when do other people get a chance? They come in as extras, they grow their craft, they try to stay relevant, they try to learn, do better. If they give you a story like Samuel Jackson had a tiny role in Coming to America, the first one,
Oh, yeah.
he comes into a shop as a robber.
Yes, as a.
And that's it. You don't see him again in the movie, but he made it so impactful that every filmmaker remembers him and say, oh yeah, I remember you. Every time I enter a place that I'm entering for the first time, I could walk into a supermarket I've never been to before. And I see all these strange people smiling at me. I greet them. Hello. When
But
they
you also
greet
have
me,
good manners.
yes, I've been
But-
raised to be humble. You are lucky to have gotten what you got, and you are lucky to have been even noticed. There are people who act and never get noticed. You know that?
Yeah.
But if you are noticed, that means there's something you did that people connected to. And when they see you, they want you to acknowledge that they're your fans.
Yeah.
Take time, say hi. We've ever been once at a certain place we were filming, and then we broke off for lunch, and there's a crowd of students because there's a school nearby. The students came out of class during their lunch break and they didn't go for lunch. They came to our set for autographs. Some were bending over for me to sign on their uniforms. And I said, no, you get in trouble. They said, don't you sign. My mom will not even wash this shirt. Your mom? And I was like, my God, you mean so much to this child and their family. So that's when I realized, never disrespect anyone.
Yeah.
You could be here tomorrow, you could die tomorrow, but the fact that you're still alive and you meet people who are happy about what you do, humble yourself. I will never turn my back. Even if you call me and say, I need you for an interview and I'm busy, I'll just negotiate when. And we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. When you say that Matthew and I guess getting to
Yes.
change your life,
Yes.
like, I felt very emotional when you said that. Why would you say? Why would you say change
I
your
was
life?
at the end of my rope. Honestly, I was thinking give up on Uganda, go abroad, start from scratch, probably clean toilets, probably drive a bakery truck, you know, but go abroad and start over. I mean, let me be
So you had
honest.
given up.
It was almost that bad. The good thing is I had God. I always knelt down, prayed, and I realized there was still hope for something to happen here. And when I met Matthew, he was so humble. I mean, that guy has experience to the point of winning awards in other countries as a director,
Yep.
but he's so humble.
Yeah.
And that makes me weak. I realize, who the hell am I to think I know it all? He has done more and he's humble. But
Do you think that maybe you weren't open to new things in that time?
yes,
You stuck.
I think I was stuck. I was stuck. I knew one thing. I've had fun. I've come this far. I've gotten a job in something I enjoy. Maybe if I got another job like this in another company, you know, you tend to take things for granted. I meet a lot of guys who are in radio and they don't see anything beyond radio. There are some even who are too old and they've been in radio for too long, to the point that I'm telling them, you need to get out of there. You're not going to be a valid person when you're almost 70 and you're still in radio. I mean, what
Still
are you
doing the
telling
same
them?
thing,
Yes. At the end of the day, you might be good, but you need to diversify.
Yeah.
And that's when I look at people like Abe Muchibi, who are unique. He does everything. That guy humbles me because he does everything. He does radio, he does MCing, he does it all.
He does it all.
And he can do anything for you, even free of charge, as long as he knows you, you know? And he's been in Hollywood movies. He keeps asking me, dude, how come I see you in a lot of Ugandan projects? How come Ugandan filmmakers don't approach me? And I say, you are a Ferrari, I'm a Toyota. I'm a Toyota. They can afford me. You're a Ferrari. They look at it, admire and say, man, I would love this guy. But Matthew was brave.
Yeah.
He humbled himself and asked Abe that.
And he's also one of the most humble people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's when I learned that be humble.
Yeah.
Many people live abroad. They come to Uganda. They look suave. We know they live abroad. They are Ugandans, but they live abroad. They speak with an accent. But if you ever traveled abroad and went
see how they live.
how they live, trust me, you can't just drop in and say, guy, I'm in America for a few weeks. Can I stay at your house? You'll be like, guy, no, I mean, I have to plan. How long? How long? You have to eat meals
The
every day.
hustle is
You
real.
know. And you find the guy is really struggling to make ends meet. And when he comes to Uganda, you guys just almost jump at him like he's an astronaut, but he's nothing. He's just a guy who decided to work there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And work hard.
if you are here and you are doing something, don't disrespect this country and don't disrespect your job and don't disrespect yourself. Yes.
Okay. I love that.
Yes.
So I also imagine that, being able to, because 6 years, I think many men can relate to the challenge of losing your job
Yes.
and then struggling to get another job for all that time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you even lose the people you love.
Yes.
So it's important also to have that support structure.
Yeah.
And I know that you've always had like your family,
Yes.
your wife.
My family, my wife, there are people who really stood in my corner. And every time we knelt down and prayed, I would notice their heaviest part of the prayer was when it came to me. And that's when I felt like, oh my God, I can't let these people down. And that's how I ended up taking everything that comes to me seriously. There are people, okay, I'll say this, but no pun intended.
Okay.
There are people who push every person. Like you see someone who's dropped out of the corporate world, like that person was once a top official in a corporate company,
Yes,
whether
yes,
a
yes.
bank or a telecom or something, and now he's not working. They tend to rush people into going into farming. You need to farm. You need get some goats. You go and plant things. If there's one thing that why you always ask me that, why is it that when you talk about Matthew it humbles you? He was the first person who spoke to me and could actually hear the voices that were in my head. He said I was pushed by people, because he was also in the corporate world for 20 years before he went into film. And he said I was pushed to farm. He tried and all the animals died. And he speaks,
Yeah.
and I've seen the places where he was doing these things because we filmed there.
Yeah.
And I was like, so this was the rabbit farm? So yeah, we had rabbits in that whole thing.
Chickens, goats.
Then they all died. Then we realized we're not farmers.
Yeah.
Farming also has a calling. There are people who are
You must have
born
the
farmers.
Yes, you
like
must
it's
have the
from
passion.
here. From here. Like they buy land and they immediately know what to do. In fact, you find they have so much they are doing. You wonder, calm down, first finish this. You are doing vanilla, you are doing silkworms, then you are fish farming, then you have
mushrooms,
maize, then you
then?
have mushrooms. Then say, guy, calm down. And now this guy is a person who can drop everything and be a farmer.
Yes.
Those people get disrespected when they see every person in life
Just
who's struggling being thrown at farming, as if farming is a dustbin for people who are considered failures.
That's a good point, actually, because
say,
people are like, you must
You
farm.
must farm. You guys, you're just losing. There's land. You put things in the ground, the sun shines, it rains, and then you walk away with. Say, man, it's not that simple.
Yeah, successful farmers deserve a lot of respect.
And during lockdown, I heard stories of people who lost their farms because there was no transportation to go to the farms. 'Cause
And you must
if you
be
own
there.
a farm, you have to be either living on it, or you go there every day, or you go there every week.
Yes.
Now, because of lockdown, people are not going to their farms anymore. So the farm workers were just making phone calls that, hello, boss, we have gone. We have taken everything, without even telling you that they are embarrassed to tell you to your face. They just don't want you to come looking for them.
Yes.
That we have moved on, we've taken everything, we've just left your land there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people were losing cattle, they were losing farm products, a lot of
Everything.
stuff, because they couldn't go to the farmers regularly.
Yeah.
So farming is a good thing, but make sure you have a passion for it. Make sure whatever you do, you have a passion for this. You
I
are
feel
born
like many people must have really told you farming. Because this is
a
personal
lot,
that
yes.
you're saying.
They were telling me farm. But even they
But
could
if
see it
your
on my
heart is
face.
not
Yes,
there.
my heart wasn't there. Every money you give me for farming is just going to go to waste. Because I'm not a good farmer. I'm not a farmer passionately. I can see you are good in front of the camera. One of the people I was acting with in the Sanyu show, in fact, Sanyu told me, I would love to be like that lady. She didn't know that I had worked with you. She was seeing you, I think, in a video. I think you were emceeing something for NSSF or something, and she's a huge fan. So she said so many nice things and said, I want to be like her. In fact, like for her, when she MCs, they can't talk. That lady, she has a standard fee. She was blowing so much praise on you.
Oh,
And I was like, yeah, she has a passion for what she does. If you have a passion for this, people will be talking about you,
Yeah.
and you'll be getting hiccups.
No, it's interesting because so many people have asked me over the years, this show,
Yeah.
they're like, but do you make money? I'm not going to answer that
Yes.
question, but I'm still here.
You have to be passionate. Do it irrespective.
Yeah.
Money will come. Sometimes money will go. Money will reduce. Sometimes it will increase.
Absolutely.
I'm always being sent emails by URA asking, we are trying to understand. Come and explain. And I come and tell them, you guys don't know how our industry works. I might be on TV, but I didn't make a coin for what you saw. I was just put there, and that's it. They gave me lunch, they gave me transport, and they gave me just a token thank you, not a salary.
So how do I
So
give you part of
how
that?
do I give you taxes off that? And they just say, no, but you have to explain. And I say, okay, calm down.
Well, they're also doing a
humble,
job
yes,
that is
be
important. Yeah.
It's so interesting to be doing this, and we are still here in Africa. I mean, like, wow.
Now, I've seen you posting a lot about the new, so it's a web series.
Yes, it's
Ties That Bind.
Ties That Bind is going to be on YouTube.
Oh,
It's going to
okay.
be on YouTube.
So you've been posting aggressively. When is
Yes.
it? When is it starting?
It starts on the 1st of June. That's when it starts streaming, or at
Okay.
least new episodes will be posted starting 1st June.
On which channel?
Incredible Media Entertainment YouTube channel.
Okay, Incredible
So,
Media Entertainment.
It's free.
Because it's looking fantastic.
You log in, subscribe, boom, and you'll see another Sanyo-like story there. But like most people say,
So-
we do it out of passion. Make sure that people still get the entertainment. However, it was supposed to go to DSTV, but DSTV has a long line of filmmakers waiting to be considered, and we
So it's
still
a matter of looking for funding
Yes.
right now.
So we decided that, if there's a chance to start running it somewhere, and then maybe later on we have another project that DSTV can accept, we'll always do that. But for now, we didn't want this show to go to waste, because it has at least scripts planned for up to 5 seasons.
Oh,
so
wow.
this one is just half of season 1,
Okay.
which is going to start, and then we'll finish
And
it up
hopefully it
and
will be
continue.
picked up. I mean, that's,
Yes.
that's industry everywhere in the world. You
Yes.
have your pilots.
Yes, you have your pilots,
Yes,
and you find that, hey, Netflix picked something, it picked it in season 3, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah.
And that happens.
Yes.
So when you said, like, when you got back into it, it was so different. You struggled in the beginning because you were used to the audience.
Yes.
Like acting on stage, and now you have to act for the camera, but not act, like the camera's there, but we don't know the camera's there.
Yeah.
What has been like the most challenging thing for you? Has it been getting into character? Has it been certain things you needed to do? Because I know you to be I've never, like, violence is in nowhere.
Yes, yeah,
So I remember the
I'm
first
not a
time I saw you
violent-
slap someone.
yeah.
I was like, eh? What?
Yes.
That's acting, right?
That's acting.
That's acting.
That's acting. Getting into character is not hard. It's like getting into the right character. That is what they call in filmmaking your journey. Do you know your journey? Now, many times when we used to come on set, there are some every director is different, by the way. So all the people aspiring for filmmaking learn. Every director is different. There's this director who pampers you and who do a million takes of the same thing. Let's do another one. Are you okay now? Can you smile a bit when you're talking? Okay, let's do another one. Remember to smile. Comes back. Then the others who are like, come on, hold. What are you? Why did you come on set? And find that one is tough. He's just going to say, Eddie, these people, when they get their scripts, how come they don't know their lines? And this is a tough director. Then there are other directors who let you get embarrassed on camera.
Yeah, they'll leave you.
Yes.
If you're not
They'll
prepared.
do one take, because there are many cameras, those that are getting a tight, a wide, and so on. Now, once that director knows their camera is giving them all the different takes, so they don't need to do many, they will just come and say, you guys know your journeys? Now imagine a new person who doesn't understand what the journey is. No, I came from Muyenga. No, not that journey. You know the journey of this scene. Where is your character coming from and where is your character going? So you forget who you are. You forget your Timothy Lwanga. Remember, you left Timothy Lwanga outside the set. Now you remember this scene. Your character came from a fight at home with his wife, and he now knows his wife is cheating on him, and he's coming to the office to confront the guy who is having an affair with his wife. Forget everything. Whether you've never been married, whether you've never had a person cheat on you, I have in my past life before I got married. So I know what it's like to be cheated on. Get that emotion of how it felt.
Tap into that.
Tap into that and get into that journey, because that's what the director wants to see, is looking at the script while you are acting. So he knows the character enters full of rage and he wants to see even the people behind the cameras wanting to duck from you. So there you know you've learned your journey. You come in, even if you were laughing at breakfast before you shot that scene, forget the laughter, get angry, find something, tap into, walk in and execute that scene and let everyone really know that man is mad. Some people are method actors. For them, they don't even want to be your friend until the film is done. If he's supposed to be your enemy, he is going to not talk to you even when you are not on camera, because he wants to always know, I don't like that guy. In fact, I want to kill that guy. And when he's on set with a real knife, he's going to believably want to stab you. It's you who has to remember that you push the knife hand away. But for him, he's going to try and really stab. So it's a process to know how to get into those scenes. It's hard for newcomers. So I knew a bit about getting into character, but getting into character to go on stage and walk off and you leave the audience clapping and laughing.
Very different from weeks,
But
even
here,
months sometimes.
You're acting and the camera is just the one recording what you're doing. The reaction comes after people watch. But the director is seeing what the audience will see. So when the director says, cut, that's good, let's move to the next. You know, for them, they're always about, let's move to the next. But you feel like hugging him for having said that that's good. Because he's just going to give you a tiny compliment. That's good. He's not going to say, oh, well done, well done. Some do. They'll say, oh, yes.
Depending on their style.
But then those who come and say, do you all know your journeys? Do I have a tight and a wide? Yes. Okay, bring your A game, action. And then
They're
people come on stage
anyone,
or come in front of the camera and shoot. Then they make mistakes in their lines. And then the scene comes to an end and the director says, cut, move to the next scene. No, but director, can't we do another scene, another take? Because there's a line I forgot, and say, that was your mistake. We are moving to the next
Tough love.
scene. Tough love. You will forever know you are the one who screwed up. I came and I was ready to shoot. You were not.
So you said it's a challenge for many newcomers, because I know a lot of people, I mean, you can start acting at any age.
Yes.
I mean, Morgan Freeman started at 50. Is he 51
Yes,
or something, his first role or something like that? And now look at him. He's still acting. He's like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. So you would say preparation.
Preparation. When you get your script, read it. Don't just go reading your lines. There are small paragraphs in between the lines. Those paragraphs are describing so many things. Character walks in angry, unbuttons his shirt, puts his phone on the table, looks at the waiter, signals, waiter doesn't respond, Then the waiter eventually comes to him and then he says, how long do you take to come and serve yourself? Those tiny things are the ones that tell you what tone your dialogue is supposed to be in. Tough, joking, laughing. You might be like, your lines are supposed to be soft. Like you walk in. I've acted a scene whereby so many bad things are going on in my head, and I'm on a path to doing something really bad. So I had to put myself in that position whereby I don't corrupt the script as it was written. I always have to have a good thought that can make me laugh, an angry thought that can make me snap, and a sad thought that can make me cry instantly. So for me, I always have these compartments where I keep emotions. When I see something really sad, my sister passed away a few months back, and it was so sudden, right in front of my mom. It was sad. I turned on the TV and I watched a bomb had been dropped in Gaza on a daycare center. And they were pulling babies very cutely dressed babies out of the rubble.
I couldn't look at those pictures.
Fought tears. I absorbed tears as just watching that news report. And I said, what did that baby ever do? What did that baby ever do? And I compartment that feeling. You now know what can make you sad. And then there are funny things like when you watch something very silly happening and it makes you crack up. And I say, okay, that is a very funny thing. Even when someone says it to me when I'm trying to be serious, I'm going to fight laughter. Compartmentalize that. Then there are things that just make you angry, whereby there's just an unreasonable situation that pisses you off. It makes you angry each time. Compartmentalize. So you have all those drawers in you. Read the script and know this drawer is the one they want. It's the one you pull out and you execute. That's why people wonder, how come you just cry when you are supposed
Just
to?
like
Just
that,
like that.
right?
Now I'm thinking of that baby in Gaza.
Tap into
Yes.
the emotion, the real emotion that you
Yes.
have compartmentalized.
And it becomes real because there the director says, wow, are you sure you're okay? Just say cut. Just
me a
say
moment.
cut. Give me a moment. I'm still crying, you know. Or when you're falling over laughing and they are trying to say, okay, guys, let's be serious, and you're still laughing. They say, that's it. It's a lovely career.
I can
But
see that.
you just have to know it's not just about the money.
Yes.
It becomes about the money when you're abroad in the developed world, because every time you're in front of camera, they're always saying, so how much are we paying this guy?
Well, that's when you make it to that level.
Yes, when
also.
you make it to that level. But here, it starts with the passion. And most of the time, your passion is what takes you in front of the camera. If the money comes, when you're doing it, hallelujah, thank God, and stick to that person, because that person wants to pay you. But if that person is not giving you that much, but is giving you a good story, sometimes I read a story and say, I want to be in this.
sometimes there are roles.
I want to be in this one. I don't care if there's no money. I want to be in this one. And
that is all, again, the
Yes,
passion, the
yes.
passion, the passion that drives
Yeah.
you. Now, at the beginning of the show, I know we need to wrap up.
Yes.
At the start of the show, you said you are at a point in life where you're just gratitude
Yes.
is a very, very big thing. As you said, you've lost friends, your sister, your dad. I mean,
Yes.
yes, so many people.
Yes.
How do you focus? Because it's interesting when you're talking about the situation in Gaza. Man, I got into that, and then at some point it was so disturbing, I've had to pull myself
Yes.
out of certain things. The world around us is scary.
It's scary and
The
sad.
news can just keep you in a constant state of depression. I honestly think,
Yes.
if you're not a strong person. How do you keep yourself balanced? Because love for music, I hope you
Yes.
held on to that.
Yes. I
Your
love
love
music.
for comics.
I love comics.
You used to
In fact,
collect.
yes. Yeah. Now, for those who know me, those who've lived in my house and have seen action figures and wondered, how does a grown man keep an action figure? And said, they are not toys.
No, they're
They are
collectibles.
action figures. They are collectibles. In fact, like you notice, we pose them in such a way. And I find therapy in that. Okay, my first therapy is God. I always pray in the morning and before I go to bed. And I always find time for myself to connect. Because I know in all things God has been faithful and kind. And I always give my glory back to him. Now, besides that, and besides family that is always there to show me love, I love therapeutic things. Like, instead of people, there are people who collect funny things. Like the guys who collect guns. There are guys who collect cars. There are guys who collect, I don't know, some even I hear houses.
Handbags,
Some,
shoes.
Yeah, there are the guys who collect women. And you're like, come on, yeah. Like he's a die-hard womanizer. You can never stop him. He sees another beautiful girl he wants. And you're like, come on. For me, my energy is, I love the comic book genre. I grew up reading comic books as a nerd. By the time I was in Kabinja, Budo Jr., I was a nerd. I would have like a comic book of Spider-Man and read, and I would feel like him. Like if only I had powers and I could jump and punch. And you have that imagination.
Yeah.
That's why I understood that people who wrote those comics, they were trying to get into the mind of a person of what if. Take yourself aside and just imagine a world where such things happen. Some people say, you guys are stupid, childish. I don't even know how to describe you guys. And no.
But the greatest stories
The greatest stories now are
come from someone's imagination.
They're invading our comic book collection now. All the filmmakers are invading our comic book collection and ruining it.
Look at Marvel, look at DC Comics.
And they're changing that, no, we are making this superhero female. Say, no, but that superhero is not female.
Exactly.
Say, okay, and so on.
And it has
then
backfired quite a few times, these twists.
Like, please leave our comic books alone if you can't tell them right. But that's my therapy. I read comic books a lot. Asterix, Tintin.
You still collect them?
I collect them and I have them neatly kept.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, neatly kept. If kids come around, they know, those are uncle's things you do not touch. In fact, they are separate. I keep them away. But of course, with the people we are living with, they don't understand. So I explain to them that if you can't understand, just allow me to be me.
Yeah.
So that this is my therapy.
I'm glad you've held on to that, because sometimes there's this pressure
it helps
that
you not to run
you're
mad.
all grown up now.
Yeah.
You have to mature. But there are things that we're passionate about, and I remember music.
Yes.
But I remember your collection.
I collect music
comics.
still.
I didn't know about the figurines,
the
collectible, the action figures.
I have some of those and comic books, and I still collect music, but now it's like I've stuck to the music of my time. I'm not going to try and buy all the albums of Migos and Post Malone and Taylor Swift. What? Yeah, she has some good music. And at the end of the day, I appreciate the newcomers. But the guys of our time, New Edition and all those guys, those ones are collector's items. I'll listen to their albums and just imagine on a perfect day. I know that I can count on you. And people say, you guys, as you love that song, say that was the first time we're hearing Johnny Gill.
Yes.
Joining New Edition, anyway.
So you've held on to your passion.
That's where my
all your little quirks.
Yes.
And some people would say quirks, but the things that make you happier. That's good. That's good.
Mental health is a very serious thing. We've acted movies. All the movies we do now here in Uganda, what I love about them, there's an educational thread.
Yes.
And UCC, who tend to help our filmmakers by funding their projects, they try to ask them to bring a script which has an educational story. Either if there's a cultural thing, like families that still have arranged marriage, they tell you you're going to marry this guy, you're going to, bring a story that shows the hardships of such a culture so people can understand. Don't do that.
I didn't know that. That's nice.
Now, mental health is another thing. You've heard of these things of like a guy walks into the building, well-dressed, greets everyone, good morning. He works on the top floor. And he says, okay, greets all of you. Hey, breakfast. Yeah, are you coming for breakfast? Hey, I'll be down in a few. And the guy goes in the lift. He goes to the rooftop. And then the cleaners come and tell you, your friend has just jumped.
Yeah.
I say, what do you mean? Your friend, the one who just... And you run outside the building and you find his dead body right there. He jumped off the building.
The people who leave family at home in the morning, everything is perfectly fine, will need to be called an hour later.
He killed himself, and yet he greeted everyone just before he did it.
Yeah.
So we've acted stories that show all kinds of shocking things of a person who seems to have his life on track, and yet he's not well. And I would love people to always take time to understand the message in the entertainment, not just the entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me, a friend of mine that I've interviewed on the show, Jerry Opoka, is organizing a picnic, but it's all about mental health. I think it's called the Soul Picnic on the 31st of May. So do check out her social media. And I think it's also a chance for people to come together and just talk about mental health and so many challenges that people maybe don't want to address directly for whatever reason or other.
So when you see someone doing certain things, even if you find them weird, if it makes him happy, that's his therapy. That's what keeps him going. For me,
As
those
long as
things.
it's not hurting
those
anyone
things.
else.
Those things I collect them, but do they hurt anyone?
No.
No. I like
They
them.
make you happy.
They make me happy. And so,
And just because you don't understand it
them doesn't mean they are wrong.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, that's important. Tim, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so honored because you know what? I'm your fan. I'm like your brother. We've grown up together and we've seen a lot. So just to be even brought on your show, and I'm like, whoa.
Aww.
For real? I'm
No,
honored.
I've been watching you and mad proud of you.
Thank you so much.
You've leaned into your gifts.
Someone should interview you now. Yes.
One day.
Yes.
One fine day.
You should be interviewed now. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.